Welcome to Friday Front Room Flows. I'm Trina Robinson, and I created this platform so I can showcase my works and my love for poetry, spoken word, writing, art, pretty much all things creative. Now, I'm not going to keep you long. Just want to give you a small dose of positivity and motivation to get your weekend started. At the start of every new year, I use this time as time to reflect, look back at where I've come from, my accomplishments, and use that to push me and motivate me through the rest of the year. So, with this being my introductory episode, I wanted to take you all on that journey with me. Please enjoy.
Good morning, I'm Mike Lester. My guest this morning is Trina Robinson, Trina D. Robinson, the author of Perch. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Mike?
I'm good. Good to have you here. You are an author now, published author.
Yes.
And you're also the founder of Voice in Writing.
Yes, that's my publishing imprint.
You are a hometown girl.
Yes, hometown, Blyville, Arkansas, born and raised.
Okay. Went to school at Blyville High School.
Yes, went to school, Blyville High School, graduated in 97. Later went on to Arkansas State University in Jonesboro, graduated there in 2001, then moved to Oklahoma.
Okay, so you've lived in Oklahoma since then?
Yes.
OKC?
Yes, OKC Metro.
So what took you to Oklahoma?
I was going there to, for something new. I graduated. I was wanting to, kind of, explore what's out.
Spreading your wings.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Spreading my wings. And so I went to Oklahoma, fell in love with the city. Really, really enjoy OKC, the metro area. But, Blyville always holds my heart. Okay. This is home. Okay, Blyville is definitely home.
That's true.
I'm a product of this environment. From the cotton fields and steel mills, to the mimosa trees, to the east and west dividing railroad tracks. Yes, I went away in some of the city I forgot, but just like riding my bike in front of the mothership on Lake Street, it's all coming back. Like the teachers back then that made a real impact. Trust me when I say, I remember their names and faces, and the lessons learned that weren't in the planner are still intact. I remember the barbecue stand with the chocolate and vanilla swirl ice cream cones, penny candy, spicy gizzards, and JoJo's from Junior Food Mart. I remember the end of school trips, packed lunches for walk apart, sweat dripping from skating hard at the rink, going to see a play. Mama made me put on my dressy clothes because we were going to the Ritz on Main Street. I still remember the family feuds that popped off on the bus and school grounds. Funny how we ran to trouble back then, but now we run away from large crowds. Good thing we didn't have camera phones. Even my brothers would have been in trouble for fighting when they got home. I remember Christmas shopping at Otasco, high school lunches at Mazzio's, crowding the hallways when class dismissed, and being banned from taking that shortcut through the shopping center because of trouble others did. How can I forget Montgomery Ward's, the only store I ever found from? It was 2 plastic bears from a broken necklace. Till my mother's death, I never confessed because even though I was an adult, she still would have broke my neck for doing that mess. I remember anticipating school shoe shopping downtown that kept me up at night. My first expensive designer sneakers were a pair of double-tongue Paula Abdul Reeboks that my teachers wondered how I kept so white. Here's to the memories of my childhood and my classmates. Some or both are gone forever. BHS class of 97 was the best class ever. From the school mean girls that turned out to be teachers, and the teen parents who are now entrepreneurs and preachers. Let it be an example for this next generation to come. It's not how you start, but how you finish, no matter where you come from.
Okay, so now you have published a book, Penny's Perch. I was on your website and I read some reviews from some of the people on your website, and they're saying some really nice things about the book. I have not had a chance to read the book. I just got a copy of it this morning, but I read where someone said, I haven't read a book in years. This one definitely worth getting. I'm hooked. So there are some great testimonies about the book, and anyone who is interested can get on your website.
Yes.
Voice in Writing .com. So pop on there and you can see the same thing that I read this morning. So tell me about Penny's Perch. I know we got a chance to chop it up a little bit on the phone about it, but you were telling me about how this character, Millicent, has gotten into a blended family now.
Yes, she's the main character, Millicent, is in a blended family. You know, she has her husband, stepdaughter, and also her daughter. She's going through, I would say, like a transformation period, a crossroads period in her life, where she's, you know, trying to be that professional woman, and then also wanting to be the perfect wife, mother, stepmother. And she's having some difficulties with that. And it's a book about transformation and second chances. It deals with the
second chance, because Millicent had been asked for her hand in marriage by this same man that she is now in this blended marriage with.
Yes. She rejected him because, you know, he proposed to her after high school. She rejected his proposal because, you know, she wanted to go off and, you know, go to college and start her career. She wasn't really
to spread her wings
yes,
like someone else.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So she wasn't ready for marriage at the time. So, you know, that left Brian heartbroken. So, but he later found love with his first wife, Mariana, and so they got married and had Brianna. But then, you know, circumstances brought Brian and Millicent back together, which, you know, you'll read in the book. And so, you know, so it's her second chance of love, but she's having doubts about that second chance. And so she's like, well, you know, like in any marriage, any relationship, there are ups and downs. So she's experiencing those downs and having doubts. But, you know, throughout the book, you see them mending those errors and doubts.
Well, you know, I don't want to give away the ending of the book, but I got to ask if things, you know, when we read, when we watch a movie, even a television sitcom, we look for the end to make everything okay. Mm-hmm. So, will everything be okay in Penny's Perch?
I write it to where, you know, there is a happy ending. But there's, because you know, it's also a story about grief and loss. So, you know, there's an element of you know, anguish in there where, you know, the family is dealing with a tragic loss. So they're having to, you know, deal with their emotions instead of like communicating and, you know, letting their feelings out. They kind of bottle things in. So in the story, you see where those emotions, you know, that bottle in emotions kind of lead to a disruptive relationship.
A little portion that I got a chance to read. It suggested that Millicent was notorious for holding things in and not sharing and not communicating with those that she really should be communicating with.
Yes, yeah, and it's that, you know, the not talking, and that kind of puts a strain on her relationship with Brian, as well as the relationship with you know, her kids, Penny and also Brianna. So it's that non-communication that strains the relationships. But then when another tragedy happens, it forces all the characters, you know, Brian, Millicent, Penny, Brianna, and also the grandmother Valerie, to actually transform their thinking into, you know, like understanding that, okay, we need to talk together as a family. We need to grieve together as a family in order for us to be more whole and continue in a successful pattern.
Okay.
So,
well, listen, I want you to share with us everything that you would like to share, but I got to ask you some questions.
Okay.
I got to ask you, like, what compelled you to write Penny's Perch in the first place?
I wanted to examine, like, the stages of, well, not the stages, but the sides of grief. I wanted to explore the other side of, well, how does the departed feel? So that's kind of like the twist in the writing of, you know, like, what the emotions are of, you know, like, of the person that has passed on, how they are feeling about those who are left behind.
So, you know, when you and I talked, you mentioned that, and I guess I got to read this book because I'm curious to know the side of the ones who have already passed, what they're feeling about the people who are left. Mm-hmm. Is that revealed in the book?
Yes, it is. It is revealed in the book. It explores both realms, the living and then also the afterlife.
Really?
Yes.
Get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We got to read this book because I don't know if anyone has ever... Now, you know, of course there have been some books that dealt with ghosts and mm-hmm. things like that, but to deal with the afterlife and how they're feeling about the people who are left, this book, Penny's Perch, deals with that as well as the grief that's felt by those who are left.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. This is interesting. This is very interesting. Okay. So now, what caused you to be an author in the first place?
I've always loved storytelling. Even in elementary school, I was always writing stories, writing songs, poetry. I'm also a poet. So I just always loved, creating characters and telling a story about, a story around them. So I've always had that love.
So, for those of you who are, I know you got to be interested now. I wanted to say for those who are interested, if you've heard us this morning, I know you got to be interested in Penny's Perch. I have a copy of it now. Get your copy. You can go to voiceinwriting.com or you can go to Amazon. The author's name is Trina D. Robinson, and she is from right here in Blytheville, Arkansas.
Yes, home raised. And you can also follow me on Facebook, on my Facebook page, Trina D. Robinson, the author, and then also on the business page of Voice in Writing. So those two options for you on Facebook.
Come back to see us sometime. The door is always open for you. We always love it when someone from hometown is doing great things, and you are. So find yourself welcome to come back here anytime. Just holler at me and say, I'm on my way.
All right.
And the door will be open for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Trina D. Robinson. She's the author of the new book, Penny's Perch. It's available at voiceinwriting.com and on Amazon. It's also available in an ebook. So get this book and find out what it's all about. I know I got to get into it. Now, you published this book. Have you also published any of your poetry?
Yes, I've on my website, you can go and find my poetry blog. So like every Wednesday, there's a new poem. It's called Personally Typing, and it's a new poem every Wednesday.
Can you recite any of your poetry for us?
Sure.
I used to be a mess, directionless. I rolled my silver lining until it turned green, then tried to pass the remains off as currency. No one wanted immaturity and insecurity bowled up in a fake smile, but thank you for loving me. I was a criminal who stole friendships solely because I wanted to walk in large cliques, knowing I wouldn't get hit by arrows of retaliation from stones I pitched. See, I had a way with words, so I lied on my life, then relied on others to produce receipts to release me from my strife. But even though my world was filled with fictitious content, you saw past my history and found contentment. Thank you for loving me. Because now that I'm centered in the spotlight, I can look to my left and my right, knowing all those past failures are far from sight. I'm not perfect, but those old flaws no longer keep me awake at night. I turned fears into fierce and conquered dreams of a mountainous height. Reconstructed walls torn down in spite, soaked up rivers of tears caused by me, and still run them back in my brain as reclaimed memories. See, I can weather the storms yet to come because now rain misses me. I'm like the sun and will pocket the droplets to sprinkle on doubters of my transformation 180. Turn them inside out and allow those same haters to think I finally run on empty. Little do they realize the testimony is ingrained in me, which I tutor unselfishly. I'm correcting postures and adjusting crowns, not because I owe you or you me, but because it's my responsibility to pay it forward and be the voice of power and promise in my community. Through the length of this journey, you waited in the shadows just to push me through by my side, unafraid to be stuck in my residue. And for that reason, I'll forever show gratitude with no negative attitude. Thank you for loving me.